Hey guys, Nick here with Outer Edge. I come down to the shop today to see what these guys were doing, and they're putting airbags on one of our trucks. This year we added a new Boss Salter to our trucks, and we added a flatbed. And with 3,500 pounds in that Salter, we was really close to rubbing on the tires here. So we decided it was probably time to add some airbags to this thing. And I was just going to take it into the shop. I've never done that before. I was just going to take it into the shop and have someone do it for us. But Trent and Misty decided they were going to go ahead and tackle it on their own. They found a YouTube video. They had a really good set of directions. And so they went ahead and tackled it. And it works great. It turned out good. Took them about 8 hours.
Yeah,
probably total 6 to 8 hours for their first time. They kind of had to just, trial and error. It'll work great for us and kind of help, just be a little bit more stable while you're driving that heavy load around. So I'm going to have Trent kind of just walk us through what he did today, and we're going to talk about the install on this airbag system. All right, so my wife just ordered this kit online. It looks like Airlift is the brand, made by Airlift. It's a Load Lifter 5000 Ultimate. So you can go with just this product right here, and you can manually put air in your airbags. But we decided to add the little wireless one is what it's called by Airlift, and that just gives us a wireless remote, so we can put air in the airbags without having to stop and get an air pump and pump it up that way. All right, Trent, give me a walkthrough, kind of what from A to Z of what you did here to get them on, from lifting the truck to installing the airbags and the wiring and that.
We took this box off so we could have our forklift lift up the bed. And you don't need the forklift. It just helps when you're down in here. When you're sliding this bag in, with the forklift it moves the frame farther from the axle, so it makes it so the gap from here, so you don't have to squeeze the bag as you're sliding it in.
You mean like squeeze them down manually, or with a so if you didn't have a forklift, what would you do?
You would just squeeze this bag down with your hand and put a C-clamp on your two pieces of metal right here, so it holds the bags down. And then you could just slide it in
between the frame and...
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Instead, we lifted with the forklift and lifted the bed up, and that'll separate your frame from your axle, which will give you more room, so you don't have to squeeze that down.
Okay. So if they don't have a forklift, it's still doable.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. You can use a jack or something like that and stuff them in there.
Yep.
Okay. So is that where you start? You lifted it and then you slid those in, or is that your next step?
So after you get the harness, once you get this whole frame mounted to each other and everything tight, set up, you'll slide in and you'll remove the old bump stop and use the factory nuts and just mount.
Oh, okay. So there's a piece that comes out of there and then that slides in.
Yeah, so the factory bump stop's right here, and you'll just remove that,
slide in the airbag,
and bolt to where the old one was.
Yep.
And then there's this axle clamp, so pretty much like how a leaf spring works. And you'll tighten both sides evenly, so a little bit one side, a little bit on the other, so it doesn't taper it, and that'll hold it really tight on the bottom.
Okay. And so then once we do that,
over there. So for your pump, it comes with this Airlift tank. You'll connect. This is the filter.
So is this that piece that was optional?
Yes.
Yeah, so this was like another $300. The regular Airlift was like $500. We're in this thing $800-900, but this was optional as the automatic fill up, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, this will make it so you don't have to go to the manual things like on your tire, the valves for your tire pressure.
Okay.
So you don't have to go to Maverick and fill up. You can just fill it up from this controller.
So you push the button on the controller and that'll adjust your poundage and set you where you want to be.
Yep, so there's things that are saved for it. So it's set to 5 PSI right now.
Okay.
It won't focus.
I don't know if that'll focus in, but that says 50. Oh, there it goes.
So 5 PSI.
Turn off your LED.
It'll turn off.
Oh, there it goes. Okay, so that's running. So now that'll start filling up these airbags. And you'll see the truck slowly start to raise here. Okay, and then once it meets the proper poundage, then it'll automatically shut off?
Yeah, so for the pump, you'll have to run it under your cab, which is down in here. There's this hole, you'll pop out a piece of plastic and run these little hoses right here.
Okay, so hold on, let's back up. So we come into here.
and you can see all
Okay,
that
so
too.
I'm just a little bit confused, Trent. So what did we do here? So we got this thing mounted in. This is our pump that fills the airbags, but how do we get the air from the pump to the bags?
So you'll cut a hole in your carpet and go through this plastic clip that's on the bottom of the cab, and you'll feed all this wires, all the wiring and your hoses.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So your hose comes from your tank and you'll run it through the cab.
All right.
It'll come out the bottom.
So it comes out down here.
And you can see it behind our frame. We haven't cut the excess off the zip ties yet, but
Right.
it'll come to this T-hose. So here's, it's coming from the pump, and then it's going to come down to your regular airbag on the driver's side. And this side of the T will go back around to the passenger side.
To the other side.
And
So,
fill up
so
the
that
passenger
one
side.
cable coming out will eventually hit both bags.
Yep.
Yep. And then you want to, when you're running those little air hoses, just keep them away from rubbing and heat,
Yeah.
just so they're protected. Okay.
And
So
then on
that's
this
easy enough.
You have to connect. There's another T-clamp, which is hidden back under here. There's a T-clamp that's on the back side of
Another
this.
T that's coming from the other
plate.
side.
Yep.
Okay.
And here's the hose to the passenger airbag. So this is coming down to the passenger airbag.
Okay.
And from the T, it's going down to it. And then there's also a manual release.
Right.
So you can, or I think it's a fill.
Right here.
Yep.
So that's our piece right there. So
Here's
so
your
that
regular
tees
valve.
off, and that is a manual fill in case your air or your wireless is not working for some
Yep.
reason.
Just an emergency.
Or you can
just
also
in case.
deflate it there too.
Yep.
Right? Okay. So that's just a normal valve stem like you see on a truck.
Yep.
Just an air valve stem that works at any air compressor.
Yep. And that's how you'll.
Okay, so how do we get power once we run those wires? That's easy enough. How do we get power to the pump?
I'll have to go this way. So from these wires, there's a clip for quick, easy connect. In case you ever had to service this, or maybe if you busted it, hit something in it when you were loading stuff, that's just a replacement. So you'll undo this clip, and we ran all our wiring through the cab, the same hole that the air was going through.
Okay, and that's the wiring that's going to go to the battery?
Yep.
Okay.
And it just ran along the frame right here. So pretty much just on the opposite side of the cab, it's just ran along the frame. And just avoid
On the inside of the frame, just so it's kind of out of the way of the
rocks and
debris
everything.
and whatever. Okay.
And then it'll come up on the back side of this frame as well. Make sure you avoid that drive line or have any loose wires because it'll rip it out.
Okay.
And you can see the wires passing through right here.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
coming up and then straight up.
Okay, and we're just heading to the battery to get power.
Yep. And make sure you install this inline fuse. This will keep you from, in case it shorts out or anything happens, this inline fuse will save you from probably a fire or burning down your truck.
Right, so
So
that's
the
just
fuse
going
will
to trip,
pop.
so something don't overheat or get.
Yeah, the fuse will pop before it actually does any damage.
Okay.
And then for the ground, there's a ground that's built in to the truck right here. We just took this off. It's a 10 mil. Just took that off and popped that.
So the black wire is just grounding to your truck.
Yep.
And then you've got your hot wire is just going to your positive on your battery.
Just that way it's always on. So
And
that
then
way,
didn't I see a third wire?
right here's a pink wire.
Okay. What
You
does
can
it
run
do?
this into your fuse box. And just like how our plow is mounted in, this is going into a fuse tap, which turns on only when your key cycles. So this fuse is the ignition fuse.
Oh.
And so when you turn the key, it sends power from this. Pretty much it's like the light switch at your house. It just tells power to go to the
Right.
product.
So if you hook, did we hook that up?
No.
Okay, so if you don't hook it up, then it's just going to run off. It has constant power.
Yep. So if your truck's off and you're away from the truck, like loading salt in the back, and you have that remote with you.
It'll kick on.
Yep.
Okay.
But with it not being, with the key not being on, if for some reason you're at the back of the truck and the truck's not running, while you're filling the salt, you can level the bag.
Right.
While the
level
truck's
the.
off.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep. That makes sense.
So right now we have it at 50 pounds, and the salter's empty, so that's why there's no weight on it.
Right.
Normally there's 3,500 pounds in here, which when we were plowing,
When it's full,
Yep.
yeah, I want to say it was around 3,500 pounds, which is handy.
when it was full, it was going down the road. The cab would like try to drive you.
Right.
So it would wiggle the back of the cab and
That's
keep
a lot
trying
of
to
weight.
drive
Yep. Okay.
you. And so we have it at 50 pounds right now, and we'll release it to 5 pounds of air, which you want it to be at 5 pounds, it says.
5 pounds if you're just driving around daily with not a lot of weight.
Yeah.
Okay. And then how many pounds did we find anything out on how many pounds we need for certain loads, or do we just kind of do it by feel, or?
We haven't tested it yet, but you'll be, I'm guessing, around 50 pounds of air when it's halfway full or completely full. But you can put up to probably 70 pounds in these. It says not to go over 100.
So we're just letting the air out, or are we putting air in?
We're going to let air out. So right now,
just watch it move here.
Yep. We're around 43.5. So now it's set to the preset 5. And you can hear the pump releasing air.
There it goes. Okay, so that's a good way for us to test it and make sure everything's working and it's holding air.
Yep, so now we're about 42.5 and it's still dropping.
Yep.
Stopped right on 42.5.
Okay. All right, and that's, is there really anything else to add? I mean, it took you about 8 hours.
Yeah, I would say most people could do this at home.
Yeah, was there any hang-ups or anything that you would do different?
Yeah, the only thing we had an issue with was on the instructions we were confused. But we figured it out. There's this spacer up in here, so you'll have to go. This little spacer, you have to make sure faces the engine of the vehicle.
Oh, okay. So it got on backwards the first time?
Yep, and if you put it on backwards, the airbag will actually rest on top of the spacer.
Okay, so it's got to face the front of the vehicle.
Bind. Yep, so you just want to make sure the spacer is in the front. And you can see this lip is coming up. This lip on the frame is coming up, and that's what the spacer is rested against. So you'll pull it towards you, it'll fall down, and then you'll push it in. So that way, the spacer pretty much holds it from coming any farther back than it already is.
Okay.
And then you'll tighten these down.
So it's got a catch.
Yeah.
Kind of a catch built into it.
Yep.
Yep, okay. Other than that, everything else went pretty smooth. I mean, besides it was your first time and you figured it out. Did you have to use a YouTube video, I'm assuming, and then some directions? How were the directions that came from Airlift?
The directions with Airlift were pretty straightforward. The only thing we got confused about was the spacer because they didn't really show a picture of it on the vehicle.
Okay.
But we figured it out. The wiring was pretty straightforward. We watched a video on that just to double check.
All right.
Otherwise, everything else went pretty good. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome, guys. So, yeah, I mean, this is a total DIY project. You know, worked through it step by step and made it happen, and it looks good. I mean, it should work great for us, and it probably saved us, I'd assume, over $1,000 in labor. It's pretty easy, really. So, leave us some comments down below. Let us know, did we do it right? Is there anything we missed here? You guys that have done this before and know a lot more stuff about this than we do, let us know in the comments if there's anything you would have did different. And we'll see you guys next time.